Hi, I'm Jill. I'm just saying it. Hi, I'm Jill.
I'm Farah.
Okay. All right. What are we
We're
talking about?
simplified. We're simplified
Simplify four.
for YOU. Yeah, wait, okay. We're going to talk about menopause and perimenopause.
Okay.
And and the reason is,
That we're going through it.
and so are you. Actually, I mean, maybe not, but like,
Some of you, maybe. Some of you,
I
maybe.
think like, I do think that this is like weirdly a homeschool topic because, most homeschool parents are moms. And most of us are in, by the time you get to high school to this, stage that we're in, most parents are hitting this stage of life and it sucks. So, yeah.
Okay. It it depends where you are in the stage, I think. You're particularly in a bad place right now, so it really sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've had it worse though. Like, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it early
Have
was
a,
actually worse for me in many ways because I got migraines. And
yeah.
like when you said like when you lose, like when your estrogen levels start to drop, or maybe it's when your progesterone levels drop, I don't know. But like migraines is like a common thing. And
Yeah.
I mean, they were so bad for me at one point, like that it's just like every week I had a migraine all the time.
So I was really, really bad in the beginning. I didn't even realize I was in perimenopause because doctors don't know anything.
No, they're such
Um,
idiots.
and the only I did finally have a doctor tell me. So my heart, which I have SVT, I've had it since I was a teenager, and it was really bad in my 20s. It was really bad during my pregnancy, and then it kind of got less. And my OBGYN at that point told me, he's like, just be aware that when you're older, it will come back. And I didn't really put it together because I was so young. Um, and so then when I was like early 40s,
Mm-hmm.
my SVT went through the roof so much that I've had to have my heart restarted numerous times and on tons of medication and everything. But now that I'm much further along, it's hardly an issue for the most part. And I'm not on medication. And it really was tied to that stage and hormones.
Wow, I don't think I realized. I mean, when
Yeah.
you were getting your heart, because no one said to me the reason you're having these migraines is because of perimenopause and like the early stages. Like, no one said that to me. And in fact, I had a doctor say to me, "No, you're not. Like, you're not having migraines."
Okay, so
Like,
wait, I got to tell you something because it's so interesting. My OBGYN was my mother's OBGYN when she was going through menopause. He's such a nice,
ah,
and he was my doctor because I had the kids kind of young. And he did link it to her. So he was one of the, unfortunately he's not my doctor anymore, but he knew that kind of stuff even back in the day, which was really nice.
oh, that's good. No, I
Yeah.
mean, I had people argue with me, and I mean, it's really only
Yeah.
now, and I don't get migraines that often anymore now. Um, but like it's only now that I know, like, oh, that was because of perimenopause. And I wish someone could have talked me through, like, this is probably hormonal. But instead, like, I'm
Yeah.
in there and they're like, make a diary of your migraine triggers and like foods and like the weather and like the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And no one
So
said, like,
ridiculous.
hormones, like it's hormones, like, and
Yeah.
just statistically speaking, it was probably hormones. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't even like, oh, occasionally no, that's just what it is. It's so
Yeah.
frustrating. And meanwhile, that was like, I mean, that was when my kids, the worst of it was when my kids were like starting high school. And I'm going from
Yeah.
like this, like, I mean, I feel like when my kids were younger and it was like, especially like elementary, middle school, like we killed it. Like we just were like the best at
You were
homeschooling.
homeschool mom
Yeah,
of the year.
totally. I felt like, and I mean, yeah, I feel like, I mean, not like, oh, we were so perfect at everything, but like, I did feel like I did the best job that I could. I'm proud of the work that I did. I'm proud of like
Yeah.
the stuff that I did with the kids. I mean, there were mistakes that I made, but like, I feel good about all, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's okay. Like, I feel good about, everything. Um, and then like, we got to like, that changeover, and I'm like, it's them. But like also maybe it was me a little bit.
Yeah. It can be tough. I'm trying to think. So The twins were probably about 15 when I started to go through
Hmm.
perimenopause. Yeah. And they had a lot going on health wise too. So we were at the doctor's a lot, and I was just trying to deal with my own stuff. And I mean, I had a good heart doctor,
Hmm.
but I didn't have anyone supporting me through perimenopause at all. And even in recent years, I'd be like, I'm not feeling great. I know it's perimenopause. Things aren't right. This, A, B, and C has changed. And they'd be like, well, let's do your blood work. And then they're like, nope, you're fine. You're not in perimenopause. But that blood work does not reflect that at all. Your hormone levels change daily, and
Yeah.
they can't go based on that. And so it's just so frustrating
Oh
not to
my
be
God.
heard and not to be supported and helped through the transition.
I mean, it especially, not in those early stages, but like especially in the last like couple of years, it makes me really kind of ragey. Like
Yeah,
it's absolutely like, or just like so sad. Like it reminds me of
sad.
being in high school where you had those sort of like crazy, like sort of intense emotions around, friendships and like
Yeah,
teachers you were ticked off
everything.
with and
Yeah,
like and I can remember like just like crying and like just this sort of melodrama of like being 16 and I'm like, oh my God, why do I feel like that now? Like I'm so much more sane and level and yet like
it's tough. It's really tough. I don't think we're prepared for it enough. I don't think people talk about it enough. I will say that my mom was a great role model. She talked about it all the time. And her migraines were terrible. They ended as soon as she was all the way through, and into
Mhm.
menopause. But and she was on hormone therapy for a while until that big study came out. And then she did the estrogen cream, which she's still on today, and she's turning 80 this year.
Yeah.
She swears by that.
Hmm.
And but I didn't feel supported at all. I feel pretty good now, so I think it depends where you're at in the process. I think I'm a few years ahead of you.
I mean, maybe it's so individual. Like my mom, she did
Yeah,
talk to me about it some. But part of what she sort of believed in, because she has like this great trust in like the medical establishment, I think, that I don't have. And and so one of the things she said was like, oh, they'll have like, all this stuff figured out so much better by the time that you're this age. And I'm like, oh my God, it's not, no, if only. The other thing that I mean, it was brief for her. Like it was bad, but it was like it was short, relatively speaking. And
yeah.
like,
My
and
mom too, and they were young.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, because they were smokers. Both
They
our
were
moms,
both
right?
smokers.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
and I think like when I look back on it, the person who I whose menopause I think I'm having is my paternal grandmother. And I remember when I was really young and she had her kids young and so she's older than I am now, but like not so much older,
Right.
and she had those intense like emotional kind of swings and headaches and stuff. Like she had all of those
Right.
things.
Right.
And I remember being a kid like, oh my gosh, why are you crying like this? Like what is happening? Like and now I'm like, oh God, it was like later stages of menopause. Like
I often think I often think like you can be like your paternal grandma. Like I feel that way in some ways with my paternal grandma. But my I was the youngest grandchild on both sides. Um, so I came along after they were
mhm.
in menopause. And my paternal grandma had her kids late. She was like, which was unusual back then. She was almost 40.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't get the joy of knowing them during those stages.
I mean, I think like the other thing that I notice, that makes work hard and makes just, everything hard is this brain fog. And like
Yeah.
it was, I feel like it was not that bad when my kids were in high school and they were applying. They're only a couple years out of high school, but like it just at that particular moment,
Yeah.
the brain fog element wasn't too bad yet for me. And so like, doing all these sort of basic things that we talk about all the time, like compiling your kids' paperwork and like, organizing the college search process and all this stuff. Like I didn't feel like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. Like, but now sometimes little things, and I do those tasks all the time and I get overwhelmed. Sometimes I'm like, like
It's hard. I don't think, we're prepared so what I noticed, I didn't get brain fog ever too bad. I do notice, and I'm embarrassed by this, and I'm very embarrassed, is that ADHD is in my family, um, very strongly. And I was the only kid who didn't really have those ADHD tendencies at all. I was very proud of that. It was like part of my identity. I don't even know why I was proud of that, but whatever. And I noticed that I now very much so seem to have ADHD, which I read happens to some women as they go through menopause. And
interesting.
that, yeah, and that has been hard for me to deal with. And I think you can see it, like I can't sit still sometimes and
Right.
I'm all over the place. So yes, it's hard to do. I couldn't imagine doing paperwork right now for the kids to get them ready for college. I really couldn't. I think it'd be very hard. I mean, I would get it done, but I'd have to show myself a lot of grace and give myself a ton of time if I was doing it right now at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, we do this for a living. So like we're
Yeah,
always helping. So in that sense, it's like, okay, I can sit down, I can do this. But like
yeah,
if it was a brand new task and I was trying to like figure it out and it would be hard, I think. It would be harder
yeah.
now than it would have been for me a couple years ago. And I know a lot of our parents are in that stage and it's just intimidating.
It is. I would be overwhelmed. I'd probably be crying a bit here and there with those emotions.
Oh my gosh.
I'd probably be crying when they went off to college, as opposed to what how I felt when it happened. I mean, I was sad, but I was not this deep into perimenopause or menopause. So yeah,
I mean, what do you think? I mean, I don't have like a solution that isn't, I mean, like, I feel like there have been a lot of articles and like, people are talking about it more, which I like.
yeah.
But like, it's also the case. Um, you got a phone call.
Sorry, so sorry. It's my ADHD. I gotta go check it out. Go ahead. I'm gonna try to pay attention.
Um, yeah, our comic timing is so good. Um, um,
We have a lot of fun.
yeah, we do. It's true. Yeah, no, I think people are talking about it more, which I really like.
Right. Yeah, it's great.
But I don't like, I feel like the solution is always just like, talk about it more, like,
I
which
feel
is a
like there's
little,
some definite things that have helped
yeah.
me.
Yeah. Okay. What do you feel like has helped you?
Okay, well, I got on hormone replacement therapy
Yeah.
and I didn't go through a doctor because they don't listen to me. So I got it online
Hmm.
through Alloy.
Hmm.
And
Well,
that has been a lifesaver for me.
they do have doctors there. Like they won't,
I
it's,
mean, yeah, of course they have doctors. I'm just saying, I'm not going to an in-person doctor and having them
mhm.
go, nope.
I know, just like your GP or they
They
don't
don't
know
listen.
anything. Yeah.
No. And that has been a lifesaver. Before I did that, I was having hot flashes, and I know you don't have them too bad because everyone is different
Yeah.
going through this. I think that needs to be understood. Your symptoms can
Yeah.
be different from someone else's. I was having like 10 or more an hour. It was killing me. And I could not do anything because they were so intense. They felt like contractions. You know how a contraction will come on and be real
Hmm.
intense and then it goes away? It'd be like that for hot flashes. I hated it. Um, and that really, really helped improve my life. I mean, it just gave me a quality of life I didn't have before. So I was really happy about that. I eat really clean. I consider it, and I think it helps my diet a lot, especially the gluten, which we've talked about before, how bad that is. It's bad in a lot of ways, but I don't think it's really great for menopause. I exercise a ton, which again, maybe a little bit of the ADHD because I'm going from thing to thing to thing. But I think having something as a physical outlet is really good, and taking up a new something you love, like juggling. I took that
Hmm.
up and got a lot of joy from that. I don't know.
Now I just feel lame. Oh my God.
I'm not
I'm like, oh
married.
my gosh, you guys, Jill figured this all out. Like I had
I'm
no
not.
idea.
I'm not. I'm not married. So I don't have to deal with, a spouse when I'm at the worst, which is nice.
Oh, that's so funny because to me, my spouse, it's good.
I'm
He's in my
glad. I'm
corner.
glad. You know what? One thing that's really great is the subreddit, the menopause subreddit is
Yeah.
fantastic, amazing
Yeah.
people in there that I just adore. And I don't have personal experience with what it would be like to be have a spouse at this stage. I haven't been married for a very long time, but a lot of people there seem to not enjoy it too much at times. So I'm just saying, I don't have a spouse. Maybe
I,
it helps.
yeah, I don't know. My spouse is very, he's,
He's awesome. We know we've talked about him before. He's
he's
he's an
good. He's good to
amazing guy.
me.
Yeah,
He backs me up. It's good.
yeah, yeah,
And he's never like, what's wrong with you? Like he's never like that.
yeah,
So
yeah. So a great spouse is probably really helpful at this stage.
yeah, or just a good friend who who understands. Like
That's what I am, Farrah.
I know exactly. You do this too. Like it's just a different,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I have. The. They won't give me the hormone replacement therapy, and I've been reticent because it does involve the progesterone, and I know that I have bad reactions to that. I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've experienced that. So I don't that it's tied to my migraines, and that is a potential side effect. Is that they
Hmm.
could restart my migraines, and I'd rather have every symptom I'm having, the brain
The
fog,
migraines.
the
Yeah.
nighttime flushes, the like, because I don't get the big hot flashes, but I do get like flushed and
Yeah.
the rage symptom. I'd rather have I'll take all of it over a migraine any day.
Yeah. Migraines
And
are the worst. Yeah.
at least at this stage, I mean, I guess it could get to a stage where I'd be like, no, I'll take the migraine. But like,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, so like, yeah, I am considering trying it anyway. And using an online outlet. And I've talked to a couple of physicians who are encouraged me to do that actually, which I thought was
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, a friend of mine who is, I mean, is quoted in like, famous news publications about like why we should all be using like HRT was like, yeah, no, you should go do this. Like she was like, I can't prescribe, like I'm your friend, I can't do this, but like you should go
Yeah.
and seek other
Yeah.
options. And was sending me all the data and everything. So it's, there are risk factors, but like there's also risk factors for
Yeah.
not doing it in a sense because they
Yeah.
think that it's tied to longevity, protects your heart, it protects you from diabetes and kidney disease and all kinds of things. So, and those benefits, may outweigh some of the risks. So for some people anyway, I mean, it just
You
depends.
know, I find it interesting is that some people are starting to get on it before they're even, it used to be you couldn't get
Hmm.
on hormone replacement therapy until it's been a year since your last period, and you're firmly in
Right.
menopause. But now they're saying, no, you can do it in perimenopause. You just do it differently. And
Yeah,
I think that's
exactly.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I swear by it for me. I don't know about for anyone else.
Yeah.
It's a
Hmm.
personal thing. I also use the estrogen cream. I do that too.
Yeah.
I'm on the patches with the progesterone pills. Progesterone is hard. I mean, it took me a good 2 months to not hate it. I really hated it at first. It was not good for me. But for me, because my symptoms were so bad,
Yeah, you
including my
stuck it
heart, like
out.
I just stuck
Yeah.
it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's helped. The worst thing I think, besides, and I haven't figured this out at all, is sleep. I just do not sleep. I mean, I never really, the Harpers aren't a great group of sleepers anyway. None of us in the family are. But it's gotten really bad at this stage in my life. And I can't figure it. I mean, I'm on 4 or 5 hours sleep most days.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
My brain fog would be worse. I
Yeah.
my sleep is in fits and starts. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
it's fine for like weeks, and then I'll have a week where I'm like, I have not slept at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how all my symptoms are. Like I'll have a week where I'm just like enraged, and then it's over, and then I'll have a week where I'm like, I'm just flushed and hot all the time. It's not like a hot flash, but it's just like I
Yeah.
can't cool down. So it just is a little all over the place for me. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Um, some things I would throw out there. I mean, what's some advice you have?
Really have advice. I just think like, have a friend to talk to about all this and
Definitely.
give yourself grace. Like you
Lots
give
of
yourself
grace.
extra time to do all your tasks. I mean, and particularly like with your teenagers, you know, take a
Yeah.
step back. Like if
Who are
that's not,
also going through their own thing. So that
yeah,
can
exactly. Like so
look, I have to plug this in because I forgot to because of my ADHD. But I got it.
um I just think like you have to, like if it's not already your practice to take a step back from your kids when you're upset or angry or frustrated, I mean, because everything is so high stakes now. Like, I mean, this is the thing about like when they're little, nothing is high stakes in a sense. I mean, it feels high stakes when you're in that stage, but like it's so much
Yeah.
lower stakes. But now when they make a mistake, like right now, my kid who is not in college is like he needs to get his apartment, he needs to do some things like because he's moving out, and he has to move out for like a particular, like he's dancing, and he's got a position, and he's not doing those things right now, and I want to scream, and like
Step back, Farah. Just take a step back.
I know, and it's
Take a breather.
it's really frustrating, but like I there's I have to it housing is pretty key. Like it's in your pyramid of needs there.
Essential. It's a human
um
need.
yeah, exactly. And so I think like the stakes feel so high, and so it's harder to take a step back, but it's like okay, just sort of ratchet
Yeah.
this down and ratchet down my anxiety about it. And just be aware that like that's tied to my hormonal state. It's not just that he's frustrating, it's also that I'm like,
Yeah.
ugh, you
Yeah. So
know.
you're
Mhm.
reacting. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
It's like when
Um,
you have a baby and if they're crying really bad, they're like just put the baby down and walk away from it because
yeah. Mhm.
that's the best solution. And sometimes it's like that now, like just walk away and take some time.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. And I think also like, I think the anxiety that you get at this stage, which a lot of people, their anxiety
Yeah.
increases. Mine has. I'm not someone who is, I'm not like I'm I don't see myself as someone who has anxiety, quote unquote, in part because like
Yeah.
I didn't when I was younger. Like I just
There's
sort of.
a reason for that. Yeah.
Right. And now I get it a lot more. And it's totally like it's like, whoa, this is really different. And
Yeah.
I know it's tied to menopause, perimenopause.
Yeah.
And so it is I just have to be more aware of that and think about it differently. And think about how not let that bleed into like my kids like going to college and then launching and
Yeah.
all of those kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's different for a lot of parents depending on their age and stage, but like Decca turned 18 when I was, I don't know, 46. 46. So they were kind of grown when I got in the worst of it. I mean, my heart was bad, but the really worst of it was after they were kind of grown, which I'm thankful for. I know that's not the case for a lot of parents. They're, had their kids later. I think that's got
Yeah.
to be tough. I think it's just got to be tough. I enjoy being on my own. It was a transition when they were all gone at first, but like I've been in England for 4 months, I just messing around. I like having alone time at this stage. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I do too. I also like
Yeah.
that more. I've
Yeah.
become a little bit more. I mean, I've always been introverted. I've always been kind of an outgoing introvert, but like
Yeah.
I'm I need this sort of introverted time. Um,
I'm definitely extroverted. I feel more extroverted now than ever, actually. I
hmm,
love to be with people. I'm constantly trying to meet up with people, inviting people out, and getting to know people no matter where I am. But I definitely need that time where it's just like me and my thoughts and doing what I want to do. Yeah, collecting myself and just kind of in a way spoiling yourself a bit. We're getting older. It's hard.
wait, what's the treat yourself? That's the right. Are we supposed to say that?
Hashtag.
Hashtag treat yourself.
Yeah. I do feel like I'm trying to do that as best I can. I think it's important.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I got nothing. I don't know.
I feel like I'm a little further along. I'm pretty happy actually. So for anyone who's not too happy, I think, search out some solutions if you can. If you're told that HRT is not a possibility and it's not safe for women or anything, do a little research on your own and
Some
talk to
people
some more
it's
people.
not. Like some
It
people
definitely
it's
isn't for
not,
some
and we
people.
can't say, but like it's,
No,
yeah,
no. But
definitely.
if you're do some research on your own. Definitely not giving advice. No medical advice here, just like we can't give financial advice. No financial advice here. We're just talking. I mean,
We're
you don't have
just,
to watch
yeah,
it.
it's just our
We're just
experience.
shooting the breeze. But it's a hard stage of life. There's much more of your life left. There's lots of different ways to treat it. There's some natural stuff too. That subreddit's really good. Talking to a couple different doctors, friends, people who's been through it. I don't know. I would say your moms, but a lot of our moms got the worst advice.
Talk to your older cousins and your aunts and uncles and stuff too,
Yeah,
like if it's,
yeah,
yeah, like
yeah.
your first cousins or your siblings may be going through the same menopause that you're going through.
So unfortunately, I had four brothers.
I
So,
know.
and
Yeah, I
I
also don't
I have
have
very
any
few.
biological sisters.
Yeah, and uh, I think I have two. Yeah, female cousins. All the rest were boys. It was just like, oh well, say love you. Worked out okay.
Yeah.
Any other? I had some good advice, something else, but I can't remember what it was. I was going to talk about sex, and I thought that's probably not appropriate. So. But it's an issue during perimenopause and menopause. So
I mean, the whole relationships, I think, change,
yeah, yeah,
it all changes.
yeah, it
Ugh.
does. And so as you're homeschooling and going through this, show yourself grace, spend some time, spoil yourself a bit, take some
Hmm.
time to yourself, and realize that's okay.
Also, just like, I mean, to me, it's the same thing with our kids, right? Like when our kids are like struggling with something, sometimes like the number one thing is to know it's normal. Like I always
Yeah,
think about, so like one of my kids had terrible insomnia as a child, and it
yeah,
was so bad. And finally, at like age 12, I was like, at some point, I'm hoping you sleep. And so I like, so we did a sleep clinic. And they ruled out a few things medically. And then they said, you need sleep therapy. Like you need this like specific kind of therapy for like sleeping. And like, I want to say 90% of it was just sitting him down and explaining how sleep works with the brain. And like, I
wait,
sound,
do I need this? I think I need sleep therapy. Why haven't you told me this?
well, I was sort of like, and like, but I learned a few things about sleep. I mean, whatever, because I was sitting there with him as it's going on, and I'm like, okay, like, and I'm thinking to myself, well, that was a waste of money, and thank goodness we had insurance to pay for it. Well, no, it worked. It totally worked. Not like he never experienced insomnia again, but just like suddenly he knew
I
that.
need this. It's been 50 years without sleeping. Come on.
Also he understood like how sleep patterns work and how like in the early stages of sleep, like how you have these periods of wakefulness in the night and that's
Yeah.
normal, and that different peoples are in different cycles and all, like just all these things biologically about how sleep works. And it helped him, and I feel like the same way about perimenopause and menopause to some extent, that it's just sort of like the more that you sort of know and know that it fits into normal and know that like the anxiety or the weird physical symptoms or the
Yeah.
changes in how you're relating to other people or to yourself or to your spouse or to your best friends or whatever it is, like, to your kids, that
To
that's
your
normal.
coworkers.
Yes. But just that it's normal, like, that
Yeah.
can help.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think everyone should start a business with someone around the same age. It's fun. And then if you're going through a bad day, it's okay.
yeah,
It doesn't have to.
you can get off of a call with a client and be like, "Oh my gosh, I am experiencing this other thing. Let me tell you about it." Like that was a good meeting. Now let's chat about what's going on with me.
We do that quite often.
Me too.
we have long meetings and sometimes it's just us talking and it's about nothing to do with work. So
The funniest part is when we hop on a link before the client comes and we're like talking about something and like it's not related to them, but then they pop in and it's like, oh, hi, we forgot you were coming.
it's quite embarrassing. If that's happened to any of our clients, I want to apologize. If it was anything inappropriate, we did not mean to be talking about that at that point.
Okay.
Okay,
Speaking of which, we have a client, so
there we go.
I'm
Okay.
gonna hit stop. Okay. Bye. Find us usually not talking
Bye.
about our own personal
Bye.
stuff. Not usually not, whatever this was.
Not oversharing, but this was good for us. This was
Oversharing,
good.
yes. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah. A little
Okay.
break from our
Thank
normal. Okay.
thank you. Okay, bye.